Hello, everyone. My name is Colin Walker. I'm an attorney at Fairfield and Woods in Denver, and I practice employment law. I'm also the author of the C-Level Law blog. I'm here today with my good friend and colleague, Adam McCoy, and we're going to talk today about terminations, something very important in the world of human resources and employment law. But before we do that, let me ask Adam to just spend a little bit of time and introduce himself.
Thanks, Colin. My name's Adam McCoy. I'm a HR leader with a financial services firm and the president of Mile High SHRM.
And that's actually how Adam and I know each other, because I'm also on the board of Mile High SHRM, and I'm the legislative director. SHRM being, for those of you who don't know, the Society for Human Resource Management, which is the primary organization for HR professionals, and an organization I can highly recommend to all of you, and I'm sure Adam would agree. Great organization for educational purposes, and also to meet great people like Adam. But we're talking about terminations today, and Adam and I were chatting a while back, and we kind of realized that it was kind of funny that people call me an employment lawyer all the time, even though I don't actually terminate people very often. Whereas Adam terminates people all the time. But let me ask Adam, why would someone call an employment lawyer knowing that we don't terminate people very often?
I think, Colin, because so many of these circumstances that lead a company to take a step of termination don't often fall into a black and white category. Mm-hmm. And there are so many factors that have to be considered that as an HR professional, I certainly know how to navigate the process to get us to the termination table. But I think that the partnership with an employment attorney is really key in avoiding any pitfalls along the way.
Yeah, and I think, we bring different things to the table, but both of them are useful in this, what is often a very difficult situation. So when I think about terminations, and when I'm advising people in terminations, I'm thinking about, do we have one of those potentially high-risk situations where there may have been a complaint of discrimination or harassment in the not too distant past, mm-hmm. Which we kind of have to just be careful of. Is that something that's on your radar screen as you're getting ready to go into a termination?
Absolutely. Before I would ever even entertain a conversation with a manager about termination, I want to understand, what is the employee's history? Are there any other demographic items that would give me pause? And, I think, Colin, what is so interesting about this conversation is, yes, I've been in that room plenty, yeah. Right? But I'm often thinking about, what am I going to look like when I'm on the stand?
Right.
And most HR professionals, while they may be deposed from time to time, don't spend a lot of time in the courtroom, right. And you do.
That's true, but when they do have to go to the courtroom, and I think it happens in most careers at least once, yeah. It is one of the most memorable and important experiences that they have, right? Stressful experiences.
Absolutely stressful, but it is burned in my mind that a couple times
right.
I've done it.
Right. So, as Adam said, I have been there a lot. I actually started my career as a criminal prosecutor. So I've been in court and jury trials many, many times. And that's where I think one area that I think I can really add value. But then on the other hand, Adam's been in the room terminating people so many times that he knows how it goes. And one of the things that I think I end up talking to people like you a lot about when we're talking about how is this termination going to go is, I never want the HR person and the manager to get into a debate with an employee. That is a bad deal, and then there's no reason to. So and especially when you've got a high risk termination where there is maybe an issue hanging out there, very often the employee will say, well, this wouldn't be happening if I hadn't complained about the boss sexually harassing me. Mm-hmm. And what I always advise people to do is just shut that down right away. Would you agree?
I absolutely would agree. And I think that one of the best ways that I do that when I'm talking to a manager and getting counsel from our employment attorney is by keeping the manager sort of on script, uh-huh. that this is the kind of thing we're going to talk about today. We're not going to talk about any of this, and not to get into a debate, to remain calm and to be polite, professional, but firm.
Right. And I think you can do that. You can shut it down if you're polite, but firm. And you should. This is not a debate. And what I advise people to do is to shift into, hold it right there. We're not going to debate that. That's not true, but we're not going to debate that. I'm sorry, we're just going to have to part ways. And the next thing you do, and I think, is you slide the final paycheck across the table. Here's your final pay. You're talking about money. That tends to get their attention. But the other thing that we often do, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, is severance pay. Mm-hmm. What are your feelings about that?
I think severance pay can be a really effective tool for a company to not only help the employee sort of land perhaps a bit more comfortably, to sort of part hands amicably, but also to help protect the company in the marketplace. And I think all those reasons point to a calculated decision about severance pay.
Okay. And when you say protect the company in the marketplace, are you talking about a confidentiality provision, non-disparagement provision? Or are you talking about no potential for getting sued because you're paying this person?
I think all the above. I also think about, in this day and age, Colin, about social media and the power that has on people making employment decisions.
Okay. So let me ask you this. If you are going to pay someone some severance, do you always insist on a release?
I think there's probably circumstances where you may not need to ask for a release. I think if the company is just trying to be gracious to the employee, this just didn't work out. Maybe it wasn't a egregious for cause situation. I think that it will hopefully just make the employee feel a bit better about the circumstances, move on and find their next job.
Where they might have gone to a plaintiff's attorney,
of course,
if they felt slighted or offended.
Sure,
or something.
Sure. And getting a check slid across the table, it does, it helps take the sting out.
Well, and one of the things that I think about when I'm advising, and I agree with you, there's sometimes it's better for strategic reasons to just give them the money and not ask for a release. Because if you ask for a release, you're handing them a legal document. And most people, when they get a legal document, they're going to feel a little uncomfortable about it. And very often they're going to go to a plaintiff's lawyer. And sometimes those plaintiff's lawyers cause problems. So if it's a small amount of severance and you're in a position where you can just say, look, no hard feelings, we wish you well, here's a little bit extra to help you get to the next position. Sometimes that can be helpful. Now, on the other hand, if you do have a high risk situation, and you're paying, I would usually advise you to be willing to pay a little extra more. Would you agree?
I absolutely would agree. And I would say in those circumstances, working with an attorney to have a well-crafted release would be essential.
Yes. And in those high-risk situations with significant severance, you're in the realm of do not try this at home, kids.
Yes, absolutely.
But that's the kind of discussion I think you have with your lawyer before you go into the determination meeting. Would you agree?
I absolutely would have all of this tick and tied long before I got to that table.
Right. Okay. Well, I think that's all the time we have for today. So thank you for being here. I hope this was useful, and I hope you'll join us again at C-Level Law. Adam, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks, Colin.